Good morning, BigSquareRoadRuler.com. What's your morning? Horn of Z's, your sip of coffee. Yes, I am back in the saddle. Nice vacation, great vacation with the family. We went to New Orleans. I didn't drink all that much, a little bit, which is rare for me. I had given myself a space. We were there like 5 days. I said, "Go ahead, do whatever you want." It's New Orleans. I didn't feel like it. Amazing time. Preservation Hall. You haven't been there, you need to go. It's old school, old school. No microphones, no nothing. It's a tiny old shack where the best jazz guys come and play, and unbelievable. It's like an hour show, and you come out of there, you won't be the same. I'm telling you, you won't be the same. And then we did all the fun stuff that you can imagine, and a lot of family time. And it's rare that my core family unit, myself, my lovely wife, Amy and her daughter Paige, my daughter Paige, my two boys Tarn and Toby, they're out doing their thing. They're out in the world, um, living and breathing and doing amazing things with their lives, which is really cool. And my son's playing soccer overseas. My other son is going to be a professional dancer. How does one even do that? You dedicate your life. And my daughter down Paige is the most wonderful human being out there. And they're all doing their own thing. That's the cool thing about the thing I learned about parenting is you got to let your kid be whoever they're going to be. Because if you don't, you're going to scar them for life. Not for life until they figure out, hey, I really don't have to go down this course that my parents designed for me because I'm my own sovereign human being. And I think that says a lot for where we are on this fight for our freedom. And if you're coming to the Freedom Show, the Freedom Road show up in Spokane, I'm working my ass getting this thing ready. Um, it's going to be awesome. I guarantee you. David Morgan will be there. Benny Wills, my friend Eric. It's going to be a blast. So make sure you get there if you can. That's on the 14th, Bastille Day, 2 o'clock. It's free at the Chateau Rive. I am going to do some filming there, and we'll be posting. If it turns out, I'll be posting some of that. But if you can get there, get there. Again, it's free. If you want to go, just send me an email so I know about how many are going to be there. I think right now between 100 and 150 is based on the emails I got. So if you want to go, make sure you send me an email so we have a seat for you. BigSatRoadRuler.com. Let's talk about the change. But first of all, let's talk about, oh, by the way, I posted the timeline article on Patreon now. The second part. The first part was how we got here. The second part is when and how it's going to happen, according to the Road to Ruta theory. I'm not bull pony saying, oh, I've got this right 500 times. As a matter of fact, it's exactly the opposite. The first time I called, it's going to be a total crash. It was January, when I found the Road to Ruta up, January 1st, 2007. A couple months later, I said, the Fed's going to crash it. They're trying to crash it. Not much has changed in my analysis. And then, obviously, in, about 20 months later, the attempt was made. And it wasn't successful. It's not that it wasn't successful because the people controlling it couldn't do it. They could. It wasn't successful because the people weren't smart enough, weren't ready. But that's the problem. You can kick the can down the road forever. All it does is give bad guys more power. And I think the good guys know that now, finally. So I do have a date, a time, actually a day and a time. So if you want to learn where Ruta's head is right now as far as the beginning of the real collapse, the takedown of the bad guys, I think it's been going on for a long time, but the real financial part of it, I do have a date. So go to the Patreon channel, Road to Ruta Patreon, and sign up. Become a road warrior. And then that gives you access to all of it. So I put part 1 and part 2 up there. So go check them out. And also, of course, everything on Patreon is on the private road to Ruta. If you want the full bang, the whole kit and caboodle, go to roadwarrior.com and subscribe today. Now let's talk about where we are. And you can't talk about where we are unless we talk about the linchpin for the derivative meltdown, which is Deutsche Bank. Huge news over the weekend. In a radical overhaul, 20,000 Deutsche Bank bankers will be fired as bad bank source to 80 billion euros. It was only supposed to be 50 billion euros. Now it's 80 billion euros. And it's worse than that, truthfully. Psst. And that's 5 times the market cap of Deutsche Bank. Now, that's insane. That is insane that this company has any value at all. I'm going to talk about what a bad bank is, or what the bankers want you to believe it is, more like it. But here's an article on Zero Hedge. 1 month ago, Jeff Grundlich, in his latest double line investor call, cracked jokes that Deutsche Bank's imploding stock, which has been hitting fresh lows at virtually every day, has major support at zero. This bank is insolvent. Making a bad bank doesn't make it less insolvent. It is still insolvent. But the bad bank is for, let me get to that. And this article goes throughout, talks about the derivatives, what I've been talking about. What have I been talking about for the past almost 20 years now? No, I didn't figure out the Deutsche Bank stuff until 2000, probably 2009, 2010, after the bailouts. And then I did some work on Deutsche Bank and why everybody I knew about JP Morgan and Citibank and Goldman, how they had big derivatives, but someone was still writing these monster derivatives. It was Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank was set up to fail by Jerome Powell, the Fed guy, when he was at Bankers Trust. They had to have a linchpin to destroy the system. So everything was moved to Deutsche Bank. Everything, all the bad derivatives, and now we're saying that, oh, by the way, they just happen to have to put 80 billion euros into of investments into a bad bank because they're about to implode. Now, that doesn't make the bad bank doesn't make the investments go away. It's like, wouldn't it be great if you bought a house and you ran up your credit cards and you take all the debt, the mortgage, the credit cards, everything else, and you put it into the bad BICs. This is the bad BICs. The good BICs, hey, I own a house and I own my car. The bad BICs, oh, I owe zillions of dollars on my house and car, and I have credit cards and I bought lottery tickets for whatever on credit, and I have 5 times the value of my assets. 5 times the value are bad, but I put them over here. That's all they're doing. Now, why would they do that? Number one, they're going to need a bailout. Remember, they didn't bail out the Greek banks. They didn't bail out Spanish banks, Portuguese banks. They basically stole their assets, the EU. Will Deutsche Bank get a bailout? It would have to come from the German citizens. It couldn't come from the EU. So, and would they need a bailout? So the customers, what Deutsche Bank's thinking is that, oh, I can put everything over here so that the government can take it over. And then we can go on doing business here. And by the way, we can do crazy deals so we make money, as much money as other crazy banks. It's ridiculous. It's the stupidest thing. But bankers use it because they say, oh, the good bank is going to raise money because the bad bank couldn't. You see where this is going? It's insane. Just because you move something over here, what they want is a bailout. And they don't want to admit. And then that puts a bailout of those type of assets is going to put the German people on the hook for trillions of dollars. Remember, it's only 80 billion over here. The insanity, 80 billion. And look at their derivative book, 43.4 trillion. Where are those? Well, they don't count as assets, so they're hidden over here in the bad bank. I want to know exactly what's in that bad bank. It is insane what's going on. And so here's the dilemma. Let's just say 80 billion of bad bank assets that will probably be defaulted on. First of all, this might be it should be a default in the derivative contracts, the splitting off into a bad bank. Because what the credit rating agencies aren't going to, I mean, what could they're going to rate both banks? That's just cheating. That's lying. So yes, Deutsche Bank is insolvent, will stay insolvent. The whole concept behind a bad bank is about a potential bailout. And will it be bailed out? I don't, because I don't think anybody wants it to. The bad guys don't want it to because they're in trouble in other places, all over the place. But if you don't bail them out, then goodbye Citibank, goodbye JP Morgan, goodbye financial system. They're definitely preparing for something, right? So yeah, that's what's going on. And there's something even bigger happening, which I just found out. Again, I was on vacation. I didn't even know what was going on until I show up, and all of a sudden I'm like, holy shit, all these things are going off. And that big thing is voila. Jeffrey Epstein, deep state pedo, in with the pedo cabal, the Clintons, the Democrats, the Bitfinex tethered people, all bad stuff, all horrific human beings. This is the darkest of the deep state. But this guy was running free. Clinton was on his airplane. They called it the Lolita Express. Finally, he gets arrested. Article from the Daily Beast. Long time coming. Jeffrey Epstein arrested for sex trafficking of minors. Get the full picture. He was a Goldman Sachs banker. He works for the Mossad. He would get people to have sex with minors. He would videotape them. He would control them. Politicians, bankers, you name it. It's the deep state power structure. He bought an island down the Bahamas. He would fly people there on what they called the Lolita Express that has a bed on it, and they have sex with minors, men and women. Hillary's been there as well. And a lot of really deep, dark people. And a lot of superstars have been there. Basically, if your name is hooked onto this airplane, even Trump, who I don't know. I don't know the story of whether Epstein ever got Trump. They did hang out, but a lot of people hang out in New York City with the rich and elite. Trump was rich and elite. I don't know if they ever got Trump. I don't think it matters. I don't think the Trump as the point person as president matters all that much. Because if he was caught, he should go to jail like everybody else. But I think it would have come out by now. But yeah, Epstein's a bad, bad dude working for bad people. And that's the way they gain control on the deep state. It's not good. But this is good. The actual fact that he got arrested, and hopefully this is a sign of many more things to come. On my timeline, it probably is. So, because it's not just the financial stuff. It's also the deep state. It's also the criminal politician. The people who control people like AOC. We all know who they are. They were set up. There's a great video called AOC's Casting Call or something like that. It shows how AOC got elected. And it was all about these deep state lefties that funded her, backed her, put her in the right place, taught her what to say and how to say it. Manchurian candidate type of thing. And yes, she is stupid every time she opens her mouth. But they're asking her to say things that she doesn't even understand how stupid they sound. And then sometimes she'll just say things that come out of her mouth. She's just not bright. Just not a bright human being. But I don't think they cared. They needed someone. All they needed was a talking person who looked good and was Hispanic or whatever she is. That's it. And yeah, it was bad. Anyway, lots going on. Jeffrey Epstein, arrested Saturday, will appear in New York on Monday to be charged with sex trafficking, according to multiple law enforcement sources. Billionaire pedophile Jeffrey Epstein was allegedly sex trafficking dozens of minors from New York, Florida between 2002 and 2005. Tried between the 1990s and 2000, probably last week, right before. Remember, these guys have immunity because they work for the deep state, they work for the Mossad, the CIA. It's all the same. Saturday's arrest by the FBI NYPD Crimes Against Children Task Force, which also has the Clinton's emails, Hillary Clinton, Uba Abedin emails, which has a lot of really bad stuff. That comes about 12 years after the 66-year-old financier essentially got a slap on the wrist for allegedly molesting underage girls in Florida. That's such a tiny thing. I mean, they murder and sacrifice underage kids, not just girls, on that damn island. And I heard it blew up. They blew up the cages that were underneath the island or something to that effect. I don't know if it's the good guys who did that or the bad guys trying to get rid of evidence. More than a decade, Epstein's alleged abuse of minors has been the subject of lawsuits brought by victims, investigations by local and federal authorities, and exposés in the press. But despite the attention cast on his alleged sex crimes, the hedge fund man he hasn't been a hedge fund manager for like 30 years, has managed to avoid any meaningful jail time, let alone federal charges. That is because he is working for the deep state and the elite. How many trips did Bill Clinton have to the pedo island? And when they were flying to Africa together on the pedo plane? These people are evil. But hey, if those of you looking for, hey, I want some signs, I want arrests, this is a big sign. And now the feds can say, oh my God, we found his black book or we found his itinerary, and now we can finally go after the Clintons, the Podestas, you name it, the deep state. So it's all happening. It's all happening. And I'm happy to be back in the saddle. Again, Patreon, you want to know when this all going to fall down, the big time stuff right here, go to Patreon. I put a video out. It's a good one. It puts the pieces together as to when and where. That's Road to Ruta. And if you want to join the Road to Ruta, go to roadtoruta.com and join the fun. Also, if you're going to Spokane, Washington for the Freedom Roadshow, absolutely going to be a hoot, but email me, bix@roadtoruta. It's free. If you don't email me, you can still get in. But we'd like to have a seat for you. So send me an email, bix@roadtoruta.com. And I will be on the road again soon. It never ends. Freedom never ends. The road show is going to be a blast. And I hope you guys are there. This is bix@roadtoruta.com.